Okay, so this my name's Olivia. Hi, I make content about culture and society. I think there's like 800 of you guys here now. Thank you so much for being here. Like, if you are new here, please subscribe. I don't really want you to like the video unless you actually like it. In the past, I have worked on social media engagement, so I understand how it works. And I'm looking to create a meaningfully engaged society. So, like, whatever your thoughts are, if you are like, oh my god, you're like a weird alien looking dweeb, if your thoughts are like, wow, I've never seen someone with these braids. Yes, my friend Destiny does these braids. They're great. I love them. Whatever your thoughts are, like, I'm not going to filter them unless you just say something that's like so far removed past like what I'm talking about. Then I'll like delete the comment, but there have been some pretty offensive shit that people have said on my channels. I like to keep those comments there for the next black girl to look and just see, like, you know, this is how people feel about a black girl. So they most likely would feel that way about you too. But I mean, it shouldn't stop you from making content, okay? It shouldn't detract you from anything. But let's go back. So I want to talk for a second about the Monique situation because there's a lot to take from it. And it's actually not really about what she said at all, right? Everyone has an opportunity to share their own story. And I guarantee you, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you've gone through, there are people who care about your story. There are people who empathize with your story. And there are people who would learn a fuck ton just from you sharing your story. I guarantee that. But I want to share actually a personal experience here. I have a brother right now. I don't talk to my brother at all. We haven't talked for years at this point. And I have another, like, he's like kind of a cousin, but he was like growing up. He was like one of my brother's really close friends, and he's to me he felt like an older brother to me. Now, like, I hadn't seen this guy for a while, but I kind of knew where he was because like I was interested at the time in like mostly just like fashion, right? And so people who I followed who were into fashion, for some reason they kept knowing him, and maybe it was like an LA thing or something, and I was like, oh, that's weird. And there was a whole other thing where there was these girls who I went to high school with, and I think it was like him and his friends who kept trying to like date these girls, or they, they're it's like classic dude things where they like all the pictures or like making like snide comments. And I was just like watching this, and I was like, this is very strange because there's like a whole age gap of like at least a decade here. So I'm like, why, why are they commenting on people who are like, anyway, like I just let it go. I just kind of like watched, and I was like, this clearly has nothing to do with me. But it just so happened. So if you don't know this little tidbit about me, at one point I was in tech. And I was doing kind of a lot of stuff in tech and AI and reinforcement learning in particular. And so when Clubhouse had like first came out, I was on Clubhouse, and then this is like before it was like mainstream. So then when I left tech, I completely got out. Like I wasn't on Clubhouse anymore. But someone had, like, some random person actually who I hadn't seen her in a while, and she was talking about how she liked Clubhouse, and I was like, oh, maybe this is interesting. So she sent me, because you have to have like an invite to go. Um, so she sent me one, and I got on Clubhouse, and I found this Clubhouse community that was basically about. It was a bunch of guys who were talking about kind of like society, really. They were talking about traditional dude things. It wasn't red pill dude things, but they had like some dating shows a little bit where they would have people come on, and then you would like look at somebody's picture. They would talk about like dating pros and cons and things like that. To me, it seemed very like vanilla dating things. And there were other guys who were talking about little businesses that were around beer, and I thought it was so funny. They just had the most, or they would like critique things that Elon Musk was doing. So I was a part of like those groups. Um, that went on for like 3 weeks, right? So in my Clubhouse community where I was, it wasn't anyone who I knew in like the real life, right? Like I just done little searches, and then I found like this community, and so some guys from like that community had like other communities. It was just literally like a pastime. It was like every night we would spend like an hour and a half or something in these talks, and it was just so funny because I was really like talking to people on Clubhouse. Anyway, and one of the guys that I ended up meeting on Clubhouse, like I actually met him when I moved to Nashville because he was in Nashville. Anyway, not the point though. So then this, like, I was in a Clubhouse room one night, and I was just I was just like randomly, like, it was this kind of a similar group of people who I had been in these rooms with, like, before. So, like, they knew me or whatever. And then this, like, brother cousin guy that I grew up with, right, he comes into the room and he was like a moderator. And I'm like, oh shit. And so then I just went quiet because I was like, this is so fucking strange. And then he's like on the clubhouse room and he like looks down. He's like, oh my God, like my cousin's in this room. And I didn't even say anything. I was just like a member of the audience. I cut off my mic, everything. He's like, and then I was like, Taj, like, or like, sorry, let me not say names or whatever. And then that was, so basically then I kind of like got into a clubhouse room with him and I just started chatting with him. And then we ended up like, stop, Bruce, stop. So we ended up, talking or whatever, and it just so happened, like I hadn't really heard from him in a very long time. Like, I definitely wasn't talking to him or about him, nothing, right? But it just so happened, like, as we started talking where, like, because I was, like, texting him, and then we were chatting or whatever, he seemed to know all of this shit about me. Like, I had told him something, and he was like, oh, yeah, I know that. And I was like, wait, what? Like, how do you know this? Like, I certainly haven't told you this, but it just so even though I hadn't talked to this person in like years, he had like all of this information about me. And I was like, this doesn't make sense. Cause like I said, I was in a whole other industry. I was in a whole other part of the state. Like, we didn't really have any mutual friends. Cause even those girls that I said, I saw him like liking the pictures and stuff, I wasn't really friends with them. I just like knew them because we'd gone to the same school. But like, there's no reason that like my name should be coming up in casual conversation because we don't have anything in common. Now, what does this have to do with the Monique story? Well, I really appreciate this Tony Gaskins guy because he made a video. Maybe you should go watch it. This is like an hour-long video where he's talking about like lessons to take away from this Monique conversation. And I only watched a few minutes of it, but so far he's basically said like, just be careful how you move because like, people care. And this is just kind of an overall lesson of like, we have one society, so like, don't do shitty things to people behind closed doors, in front of closed doors. Don't do shitty things to people because sometimes, especially like black men. So I also saw like a couple of minutes ago, DL Hughley posts this response video. Monique is a liar. Monique is full of shit. Monique is an awful comedian. Her special is so bad. Whatever he feels about Monique, both of those people get to have their opinions, right? But here's the thing, like, black women are a marginalized group, okay? Females are just delicate. More delicate than men. And D.L. Hughley, in his extremely aggressive nature toward this black woman, maybe it's because she's fat, maybe it's because he doesn't find her attractive, maybe it's because she's black, whatever the issue is, where he's decided to like go balls to the wall and say all this awful shit about this woman. And this is why a lot of black guys do this, right? They do this because Monique's just a woman, right? What the fuck is she gonna do? Go cry? And then I also heard on the Monique podcast, she said, I'm not going to see myself break. I don't want any women to see me break. The women behind me can't see me break. That is bullshit. That is complete bullshit. At no point should any black woman feel like you should have to hide your feelings, if they're good, bad, emotional, or whatever, because you are afraid of the way that society is going to judge you. The way that you're not some invincible Superman, okay, who can't be hurt. That isn't you. You weren't made to be like that. You're a fucking woman, okay? Like, your responsibilities are not the same as the men in society. D.L. Hughley needs to fucking learn his place. That's what I mean. It's him and the Tyrese of it all. It's okay if these men don't want to be a part of the community. If they don't want to be men in society, fine. No one is asking them to. But then don't expect us to treat you like men in society. It actually doesn't even matter what like Monique said about him or his family. Him going against her is not doing any good. If he wants to have a conversation with someone about it, then what he could do is he could like have a phone call with her and like squash the beef. If that's what he wants to do, he could text message her. But coming to us and trying to like get us on his side and calling her a liar or calling her whatever it doesn't make him look better. It doesn't make his family look better. And then he brought up something else where she was trying to expose or something that he watched his daughter get raped. Like, what? Like, this is what I mean. Like, clearly, DL, you can't even protect your own family. It's probably even bigger than that. Like, the entire black society has a real fucking issue. And actually, in the beginning of Monique's conversation, this is what she said. She literally said there's no accountability in the black community at all. People see all type of shit going wrong, and then they say, it isn't my place to speak out. It is my place. This is D.L. Hughley. He sees all type of shit going wrong, and then he's all like, well, it's not my business. It's not my family. I have to provide for my family. Okay, nigga, just go over there. Like, nobody asked you. Just stay over there. Stop making videos about it, and stop commenting. If you really don't care that much, don't comment. Don't respond. Block, okay? This is like what all of them do, and this is why everyone keeps aborting them. Like, not even in a joking way. Like, I am trying to be so empathetic, but at the same time, like, we have to be, like, realistic. Like, we have to be realistic here. There are reasons that the black community is in shambles. Shambles. And when you have a community that, like, is in shambles in the way that it is now, it is going to cause people so much, like, so many problems. Like, the fact that there's any black women at all who are not, I don't think this is the truth, that there's actually black women who aren't experiencing, like, mental health decays. Like, if there's somebody who says that, I don't believe them. I don't believe you, because, like, that means that you're Delulu, right? Because, like, you don't live in the real world. Kind of like, actually, Beyonce. Not even in a joking way. I think Beyonce's delusion is like the main reason why she can just continue to go and do the shit that she's doing, which is not a bad thing. Like, her delusion has created renaissance, right? It's created so much, like a whole, like, industry in American society. But then you would just have to look at, like, the rest of the black community. Really, everybody else is like, there's no other black women who are doing well. There's not, it would be different. Like, you see how, like, Taylor Swift can come out and then have these songs that are about whatever. She can have, like, the blank space music video that makes so much sense, because there's, like, tons, hundreds of thousands, probably millions of white women who actually have things like that. Beyonce can come and be like, I'm that girl, but the only person who could probably kind of play the song and it would, like, land would be, like, Lori Harvey. That's it. There's one. So, like, I'm not saying, like, her individual experience is nice, but it is completely not, it has nothing to do with the group. It is Beyonce the individual. So, like, I don't know. The Monique interview of it all and the responses to it. It was the fact that she called out Oprah as being trash, and it wasn't surprising. She called out so many people, and it was kind of a, how can I say it? The sequence of events was familiar to me, and that made me sad. That made me sad, because it was very clear, like, it was one failure after another. It was one person after another dropping the ball. This person dropped the ball. This person dropped the ball. This person dropped the ball. Everybody was just dropping balls, and nobody was accountable. It was just kind of like, yeah, this is how it is. This is how it goes. Why does it have to be like this? Like, why? Why? It doesn't need to be like this. It could be better. Maybe it can't be better. I don't know.